Most people are waiting for their life to change, waiting for more time, more money, better conditions. But the truth is simple. If you are not doing your best today, you are not ready for a better tomorrow. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to show you why the smallest effort you make today is deciding the size of the life you will live later. Most people keep waiting for a better moment to begin. They tell themselves that when they finally have more time, more money, more support, then they will give their best. Until then, they hold something back. They move through their days halfway committed. They do just enough to survive. And they comfort themselves with the idea that someday, when conditions improve, they will finally show what they are capable of. But listen carefully. There is no future day that suddenly changes everything. There is only this day, and what you choose to do with what you already have. Life does not promote the man who promises effort tomorrow. It advances the man who gives full effort where he stands, with what is already in his hands. You speak about destiny as if it were some visitor that will one day arrive and knock on your door. As if opportunity is a stranger that appears without warning. That is not how life works. Destiny is not waiting for you somewhere ahead. It is being written right now, in how you handle the smallest responsibility, in how carefully you complete the task you secretly believe is beneath you, in how seriously you treat work that no one is watching. The world cannot see your plans. It cannot hear your private ambitions. It does not know the dreams you carry in your mind. The only thing it can observe is how you behave today. And the law governing progress is simple and unforgiving. A person who is careless with small responsibilities will never be trusted with larger ones. A person who wastes this hour will waste the next one as well. The clock may change. The setting may change. But the pattern remains. You may argue that your situation is unfair, that you do not have the same tools others have, that your opportunities are limited, and that may be true. Many people begin life with less than they deserve, but that is not the question that matters. The real question is this: what are you doing with the tools you already possess? A simple instrument in disciplined hands often produces better results than advanced tools in careless hands. Your mind, your body, your current position, your present duties, your existing relationships. These are not punishments. They are raw material. And when you treat them with contempt, you are rejecting the very resources that could elevate you. When you treat them as responsibility, you begin cooperating with the law that governs advancement. Look honestly at your day, not the version you describe to others, the real version. How many minutes are spent in focused attention? How many hours are spent drifting, avoiding, complaining, or doing only what is necessary to escape criticism? You say you are tired, but it is not effort that has exhausted you. It is indecision, resentment, half-commitment. A person becomes drained when they pull in two directions at once. One part reaching toward excellence, the other clinging tightly to excuses. When you stop dividing yourself and commit fully to one clear direction, energy returns. The truth you have been avoiding is simple. Your best is not waiting in some distant future. It is waiting inside your next choice. Not a dramatic decision about some grand project, but the ordinary decision about how you handle what is directly in front of you, how you organize your tools, how you complete a conversation, how you finish an assignment you dislike. These moments reveal whether you are training for mastery or practicing mediocrity. Success is not an accident that suddenly happens to you. It is the natural result of thousands of small actions performed with care. You have been taught to admire outcomes, to celebrate sudden success, and to ignore the disciplined years that produced it. Then you wonder why your own progress feels slow. You are trying to harvest without planting, judging today by what you can see, instead of by what you are building. Remember this carefully. The foundation of progress is not the dream. It is the habit of doing your best with whatever the day places in your hands. If you refuse that habit now, no future opportunity will rescue you later. You say your work is small, unimportant, that doing your best here cannot matter. But it matters more than you realize. Because you are not only completing tasks, you are forming a person. Each time you bring more attention, more care, more precision than the situation demands, you strengthen discipline. Each time you rush, neglect, or resent the work, you weaken yourself. The task may disappear tomorrow, but the person you are becoming will remain. And that person will either be prepared when opportunity appears, or exposed as unready. Look closely at people who are trusted, not those who speak loudly about ambition, but those others quietly depend on. You will find one pattern. They earned reliability long before they received recognition. They were consistent before they were important. They finished what they started. They treated simple duties with seriousness. They arrived when they said they would. No one purchased that reputation with words. It was built through daily behavior. You are governed by the same law. Doing your best is not emotional. It is practical. It means giving full attention to whatever you touch. It means refusing to rush simply to escape the task. It means replacing complaint with the question, what can I do right now with what I have that moves me one step forward? That question alone separates disciplined individuals from those who spend years blaming everything except their own behavior. You must stop waiting for perfect conditions. The person who waits for enthusiasm before working, for silence before studying, for applause before performing, will never move. Conditions are rarely ideal, but progress does not depend on comfort. It depends on reliability. Faithfulness is measured where you are, not where you hope to be. If you are in a small role, perform it precisely. If your tools are limited, maintain them carefully. If your position is modest, treat it seriously. This is not insignificant. It is preparation. Your best today is not compared to another person's best. It is measured against your own capacity in this moment. You may look at someone far ahead and feel discouraged, but you are not asked to match their level. You are asked to fully use yours. Every person at the summit once stood where you stand now. If they had refused effort until conditions improved, they would still be waiting. Each time you tell yourself that effort here does not matter, you weaken discipline. Someone always observes. You do, and your nervous system records it. When you cut corners privately, you train yourself to expect little from yourself. That lesson follows you everywhere. A person who withholds effort in secrecy cannot suddenly become excellent in public. You say you want more income, more authority, more respect, more opportunity. But translated honestly, many desires sound like this. I want future rewards for present neglect. Life does not accept that contract. Every system observes what you do now with what you already have. That is the only basis for advancement. When you reverse that order, you collide with reality. And that collision feels unfair. But it is simply the refusal to promote unreliability. You may say you are tired of giving effort without reward. Then ask honestly, have you truly given your best? Or have you only done slightly more than the minimum required? There is a difference. A person who truly gives effort gains skill, discipline, and endurance even in unfair situations. A person who withholds effort does not grow. They remain the same and complain that life is small. Doing your best does not mean destroying yourself with frantic overwork. It means focused effort, organized energy. When you concentrate fully on a clear task, you finish tired but satisfied. When you drift emotionally through the day, you finish tired and ashamed. Your body knows the difference. Your mind knows the difference. So does your future. Begin with 1 hour. Choose 1 hour of your day, and decide that for this hour, you will give full attention. Not heroic effort, quiet integrity, no drifting, no bargaining, no fantasies, just disciplined presence. Stay with the task. Notice errors. Correct them. Improve small details. Finish. Repeat that hour again tomorrow. One such hour builds nothing. 10 build structure. 100 build foundations. 1,000 change a life. You have wasted enough time waiting for a dramatic chance. The chance is already here. It is hidden inside the next small responsibility you considered unimportant. You may fear that if you give your best now, you will have nothing left for later. That if you spend your energy today, tomorrow you will be empty. But that fear is not wisdom. It is misunderstanding. Effort does not exhaust your strength. It expands it. When you use your abilities with discipline, they grow sharper. When you stretch your attention, it becomes stronger. When you act in spite of reluctance, courage increases. The person who saves himself for some future moment that never arrives dies with most of his capacity unused. The person who invests himself wisely each day discovers that his limits move outward. Your excuses have been trained for years. They speak with confidence. This is beneath you. Wait until you feel motivated. There is no reward here. No one else is trying. Why should you? Ask those excuses one simple question. Who have you ever helped become great? They have no answer. They have only kept you comfortable. Comfortable in delay. Comfortable in average effort. Comfortable in the same position year after year. When one of those voices appears today, answer it clearly. I will not waste another day of my life. I will treat this task as training for the future I claim to want. Understand this. Life is always observing you. Not harshly. Not emotionally. Simply accurately. It is asking one question. What kind of person is this? The answer is not given by your words. Not by your opinions. Not by your complaints. It is given by how you treat this hour. Do you leave things better than you found them? Do you hide ability unless rewarded? Do you require a large stage before you perform with discipline? Or do you bring quality even into small rooms? You do not need a new life to become a different person. You need a new way of moving through the life you already have. That begins with ordinary duties. Your current role, your present environment, the promises you keep, the care you give to tools, the seriousness with which you learn. Decide that from today forward, you will no longer move through these as if half asleep. You will move through them with intention, not because the work deserves it, because you do. When you shift this way, something subtle happens. The tasks you once disliked become training. The places you once resented become classrooms. The people you once considered obstacles become teachers. You stop asking, why am I stuck here? And begin asking, what can I extract from here by working well? That single question separates disciplined individuals from those who remain in circles. There is no phrase that transports you into success. There is only this principle. Progress belongs to the person who honors this day with full effort. If you refuse to do that now, you will refuse later. If you do it now, capacity increases quietly. That is not hope. That is law. You often compare yourself to others. You look across the fence at someone else's resources, position, or connections, and you say, of course they can give their best. If I had what they have, I would do the same. That thought weakens you. Life does not compare you to them. It compares you to your own capacity. It does not ask what you would do with their life. It asks what you are doing with yours. Using another person's advantage as justification for lowering your effort is surrender. History is full of people who started ahead and fell behind, and people who started behind and moved ahead. The difference was never the starting point. It was daily behavior. The law rewards the person who extracts value from their present position, not the one who complains about fairness. You do not yet know what your best is. You have never fully tested it. You have tested comfort, convenience, habit, but your true capacity lies beyond all three. It appears only when you stop protecting yourself from effort. You discover it by leaning farther, concentrating longer, persisting after the old limit says stop. Only then do you realize something uncomfortable. You have been living far below what you could become, not because fate demanded it, Because you chose average effort. When you decide to change, resistance appears. Your old identity speaks. This job is temporary. This place is small. These people do not appreciate you. That is the voice of someone who wants the reward of excellence without the training. Answer it directly. If I cannot be trusted with small responsibility, I am not prepared for large influence. If I cannot be excellent here, I am not ready anywhere. Then prove it. Treat this task as if it were the final qualification before the next door opens. Because in many cases, it is. You must understand something important. Life watches for reliability, not talent, not ambition, not desire. Faith is not belief. It is loyalty to discipline under imperfect conditions. When you work well with limited tools, limited encouragement, and limited recognition, you demonstrate readiness. A person who only performs when praised is not disciplined. They are dependent. A person who only works hard when reward is guaranteed is bargaining. Discipline says, I will act correctly because this is who I am, regardless of applause, regardless of reward, regardless of recognition. You may worry that your effort will be exploited, that you will give more than you receive. Here is the truth. If you require perfect fairness before you give your best, you will never grow. Progress always requires investing more before receiving more. Not because life is cruel, because life must test reliability. Your extra effort may not be rewarded immediately. It may not even be noticed by the person who benefits from it, but it records itself inside you, in skill, in discipline, in judgment, in endurance, and that record follows you into every new environment. Sooner or later, you will enter a place where that record matters. Think of your present situation as preparation, not imprisonment. Each task carries a question. Will you do this well simply because it is yours to do? If you answer yes often enough, excellence becomes habit. If you answer no, pretense becomes habit. And habits follow titles. Positions do not erase character. They expose it. Stop saying, when I get there, I will live differently. You will not. You will live there the way you live here. Opportunity does not change people. It magnifies them. If you are careless now, you will be careless later. If you avoid now, you will avoid later. The only way to guarantee future discipline is present discipline. You must also confront resentment. Resentment says, why should I bother? It is unfair. They have it easier. That thought drains energy faster than labor. It locks attention on what you cannot control and weakens what you can. When resentment rises, answer it. Yes, conditions may differ, but no one can prevent me from using my ability today. Then give a little more focus than you feel like giving. Each time you do that, resentment loses power, and something rare returns. Self-respect. Respect earned through effort is the birthplace of courage. Courage produces greater action, and greater action sustained produces progress. You must also respect small improvements. Your mind demands dramatic change. If I cannot transform everything, why try? That thinking destroys growth. Progress moves by increments. 10% better today compounds enormously over time. Improve one detail, one habit, one standard. Each day, capacity expands quietly. Doing your best also includes how you think while you work. Hands can move while the mind wanders. That is not full effort. Full effort requires presence, observation, learning, asking better questions. Attention turns tasks into teachers, and teachers build intelligence that later becomes advantage. Watch your language about your duties. Words shape loyalty. If you constantly insult your work, you insult yourself. A person is never above the way they behave. If you were truly superior to your task, excellence would already be visible. Discipline your speech. Replace complaint with purpose. This is training. This is preparation. This is strengthening me. You are not honoring the task. You are honoring the person you are becoming. Do not confuse patience with passivity. Doing your best with what you have today does not mean accepting stagnation. It means using today wisely instead of despising it. You can hold a higher vision in your heart while still honoring the ground beneath your feet. In fact, this is the only way to rise without breaking. The person who refuses to train in small places and demands to begin at the summit will collapse when they finally arrive. Strength is built gradually. Capacity is conditioned. Character is trained where pressure is low so that it can stand when pressure is high. Think of your life as a long climb. Every step matters. You may be tempted to conserve energy on easier stretches, to move carelessly now and promise intensity later. But when the slope steepens, you discover the cost. The person who avoided discipline early lacks stamina when it matters most. Wise people train on easy ground so that difficult ground does not defeat them. So it is with your days. Easy seasons are not vacations from discipline. They are preparation for harder ones. There is another truth you must face. You do not own tomorrow. You speak about the future as if it were guaranteed. When things calm down, when I have more saved, when I meet the right person, these are promises you make to yourself about time you do not control. The only day you truly possess is this one. And if you waste it, you are not wasting hours. You are wasting the only currency you have. The person who keeps postponing excellence eventually discovers that tomorrow has disappeared. This is not a warning meant to create fear. It is an invitation to seriousness. When you understand that each day is a one-time opportunity to practice discipline, you stop treating it casually. You stop letting emotion dictate effort. You stop asking, "Do I feel like it?" and start asking, "Is this worthy of the person I intend to become?" That single question cuts through confusion. You may still feel tired. You may still feel bored. You may still feel uncertain. But feelings become weather, not authority. You act according to values, not moods. There is another principle hidden here. The fastest way to improve what you will have tomorrow is to use well what you have today. There is no separate method for earning better tools, better opportunities, or better environments. They move toward people who have already proven that they will use them responsibly. Giving more resources to someone who mismanages small ones is not generosity. It is damage. Life increases responsibility only when control is visible. If you fear giving full effort because you might fail, understand this. Failure after honest effort builds strength. Avoidance builds weakness. When you hold back, you protect pride, but you also protect ignorance. When you give your best and fall short, you gain clarity. You learn your real limits. You see what must be improved. And often, something unexpected happens. You discover that many limits were imaginary, built from years of hesitation. And the moment you commit fully, they dissolve. Make a quiet decision today. I will no longer live below my capacity. I will treat this day as training for my future. Then prove it in small actions. How you begin the morning, how you prepare, how you work, how you finish. No announcement is needed. No applause will come. But something begins to shift. You begin to respect yourself. And self-respect is the beginning of courage. Courage becomes action. Action becomes progress. There is another layer you must understand. Your effort is shaping not only circumstances, it is shaping identity. Every task whispers a message to your mind. This is who you are. When you rush, avoid, and cut corners, your nervous system concludes, I am someone who escapes responsibility. When you work carefully, even in private, you write a different message. I am reliable. I am disciplined. I can be trusted. That belief becomes the foundation of confidence. You want confidence. You try to manufacture it with imagination, with slogans, with visions. But confidence does not come from fantasy. It comes from memory, from remembering that yesterday you kept your word. the day before you followed through, the day before that you did not quit. When your nervous system holds that evidence, posture changes, voice steadies, decisions strengthen. You no longer ask, "Can I?" You say, "Whatever I have, I will use fully." That is real confidence, and it is built one day at a time. You must also raise your standards, not for others, for yourself. Until now, your standard may have been, what avoids trouble? What keeps people quiet? What meets the minimum? That is survival. Growth begins when the question changes. What is the most excellent way I can handle this? Excellence is not perfection. It is attention. It is care. It is refusing to be satisfied with careless work. When you accept low standards in ordinary moments, you become incapable of high standards in extraordinary ones. Examine your day. How do you begin? Do you react immediately to distraction? Or do you choose priorities? A disciplined morning already creates advantage. Doing your best begins before the first task. It begins by organizing intention. What matters today? What must be protected? What can wait? Then, throughout the day, you measure behavior against direction, not against mood. Your attention is one of your greatest assets. Yet you spend it casually, allowing it to scatter, allowing it to drift. Doing your best means guarding attention. When you work, work. When you study, study. Presence multiplies results. 10 minutes of full attention often exceeds an hour of distraction. Begin measuring not time spent, but time truly engaged. Obstacles will appear. Broken tools, delays, shortages. Your old habit says, "This is why I cannot do well." The disciplined response says, "This is where excellence is required." Ask, "Can I adapt? Can I learn? Can I strengthen here?" Difficulties are invitations to build capability. You must also accept limits wisely. Doing your best is not denying reality. It is working skillfully within it. You may not control pay. You may not control authority. But you control performance. You control integrity. You control discipline. That control is enough to begin growth. Learning is part of effort. When mistakes appear, do not hide. Study them. Extract information. Improve. Doing your best means becoming a student of your own behavior. You must also stop dividing life into important and unimportant hours. Character does not switch on. The way you act in small moments is exactly how you will act in large ones. Order in small things builds order in great ones. Discipline in private protects discipline in public. Your habits are continuous. So treat every duty as training. Not because it is glorious, because it is formative. Relationships also matter. How you listen, how you keep promises, how you speak. Trust grows from small conduct, and trust opens doors later. Do not save integrity for powerful people. Character is consistency across all rooms. Govern your inner dialogue. Your self-talk shapes identity. When thoughts weaken you, interrupt them. Direct your own mind. This is discipline. You may still ask, how long until results appear? That question reveals bargaining. Separate duty from timing. Your task is effort. Timing belongs to life. When you release urgency, persistence strengthens. Review direction periodically. Effort must serve purpose. Do not row expertly in the wrong direction. Choose the best path you see. Then give your best there while remaining flexible. Motion clarifies vision. Notice how full effort changes time. You end days tired but satisfied, not empty. Regret drains. Exertion renews. Your conduct also teaches others. Without words, some will imitate, some will resist. Either way, clarity increases. In the end, this principle is simple. This day is yours. You decide whether it is lived partially or fully. The door opens not for wishes, but for people whose daily behavior proves readiness. You do not need a different life. You need a different way of walking through this one. You must now confront something uncomfortable. Resentment. Resentment is one of the quietest destroyers of progress. It rarely announces itself. It disguises itself as realism, as fairness, as common sense. It says, "Why should I try harder? They have advantages I don't. They get rewarded more. They started ahead." And slowly, almost invisibly, it drains your strength. Resentment turns attention away from what you can shape and fixes it on what you cannot. And when attention moves there, discipline weakens. Focus fades. Standards soften. Then at the end of the day, you look at poor results and say, "See, life is against me," when in truth, you have been against yourself. Replace resentment with resolve. When bitterness rises, answer it calmly. Yes, conditions may differ. Yes, others may have more. But no one controls my effort except me. No one can stop me from using my ability today. Then return to your task and give slightly more attention than you intended. Not dramatically, quietly. Each time you do this, resentment loses influence, and something returns that many people have lost. Pride, not arrogance. Self-respect. Respect that comes from knowing you did not cheat yourself. And that respect is powerful because it creates courage. Courage leads to larger action, and larger action sustained becomes progress. You must also learn to value small improvements. Your mind wants transformation. It wants dramatic change. If I cannot fix everything, why bother fixing anything? That thought kills development. Life moves by increments. One habit slightly better. One decision slightly cleaner. 1 hour slightly more focused. These small changes compound. Quietly, invisibly, until one day, you realize capacity has increased. You are handling pressure that once overwhelmed you. You are solving problems that once confused you. Not through miracles, through repetition. Ask yourself each day, where was I careless yesterday? Where did I accept good enough when I could have done better? Choose one place. Improve it, not by doubling effort, by refining it. Precision builds power. You must also understand that effort includes thought. Hands can work while the mind escapes. That is not full engagement. Full effort requires presence, observation, learning, connection. When attention stays with the task, tasks become teachers. They reveal patterns. They sharpen judgment. They train intelligence. This intelligence later becomes advantage. Watch how you speak about your duties. Language reveals loyalty. When you insult your work, you insult yourself. A person is not defined by ambition. They are defined by behavior. If you were truly above your task, excellence would already be visible. So discipline your language. Replace complaint with purpose. This is preparation. This is strengthening me. This is refining my control. You are not honoring the task. You are honoring the future version of yourself. Do not confuse acceptance with surrender. Doing your best today does not mean you intend to stay here forever. It means you are wise enough to build from where you are. Those who refuse to train in low places lack the strength to survive in high ones. Imagine a long ascent. Every step conditions the legs. If you drag yourself on gentle slopes, you will collapse on steep ones. Strength is built gradually. You cannot skip stages. Another truth now becomes clear. You do not possess unlimited time. You speak about the future as if it were guaranteed. When life settles, when finances improve, when I have clarity, these are stories told to postpone responsibility. The only day you own is this one. And postponing excellence is not harmless. It trains delay. It trains hesitation. It trains the nervous system to wait instead of act. When tomorrow finally arrives, the habit remains. You must become serious about the present, not anxious. Serious. Serious means understanding that every day is a training ground. Every hour is conditioning identity. You may still feel uncertain. That is natural. But feelings are not commands. They are signals. Values must govern behavior. There is another principle you must grasp. Better opportunities do not arrive first. Better behavior arrives first. Tools improve only after control improves. Freedom increases only after discipline increases. Responsibility grows only after reliability is visible. Giving more power to someone who misuses little is not generosity. It is danger. Life increases responsibility only when readiness is proven. This is why effort precedes reward. Always. If you wait to be rewarded before you perform, you will wait forever. You may fear failing after giving full effort, but failure after honesty is not damage. It is information. It shows you where to grow. Avoidance hides weakness. Honest effort exposes it. And exposure is the beginning of improvement. Often, when you finally commit fully, you discover something surprising. What you feared was beyond you was only unfamiliar. Limits dissolve when pressure is met directly. Make a quiet commitment today. I will no longer live below my ability. I will train for the future through present conduct. Show it in details. How you prepare, how you organize, how you finish. No audience required. No recognition expected. But inside, alignment begins. And alignment is strength. There is a deeper layer here. Your behavior writes identity. Every repetition shapes belief. When you delay, your system learns avoidance. When you persist, your system learns reliability. When you follow through, your system learns trust. Identity is not chosen. It is practiced. Confidence grows from evidence, not imagination, not slogans, not affirmations. From memory. Memory of discipline, memory of effort, memory of control. That memory changes posture. It changes tone. It changes presence. You begin to move differently, speak differently, decide differently, and people respond differently. Not because you demanded it, because stability attracts trust. Raise your standards, not publicly, privately. Ask not, what is acceptable? Ask, what is excellent within my capacity? Excellence is not perfection. It is integrity. It is care. It is attention. Low standards in small moments become high failures in large ones. Discipline begins in ordinary hours. How you wake, how you focus, how you respond to interruption, how you protect time. Your attention is a resource. Guard it. Presence multiplies output. 10 minutes of focus beats an hour of distraction. Begin measuring engagement, not activity. Obstacles will continue. Delays, interruptions, shortages. These are not excuses. They are training. Ask, how can I adapt? How can I strengthen here? Difficulty sharpens intelligence. You must also stop dividing life into important and unimportant moments. Character is continuous. Private behavior becomes public behavior. Small habits become large outcomes. So treat every duty as training. Not because it is glorious, because it is formative. Relationships matter. Trust is built in minor interactions. Integrity practiced in private protects integrity under pressure. Govern your inner dialogue. Thoughts shape identity. Interrupt weakening language. Direct your mind deliberately. That is discipline. You may still wonder when results will come. That is bargaining. Release timelines. Perform duty. Let time handle reward. Persistence outlasts urgency. Review direction periodically. Effort must serve purpose. Choose the best path you see. Move. Adjust later. Clarity follows motion. Notice how full effort changes rest. You sleep with satisfaction, not regret. Exertion renews. Regret corrodes. Your conduct teaches others. Some will imitate. Some will resist. Either way, your path clarifies. And now understand this final principle for this section. This life will not change because you wish it to. It will change when your behavior becomes stable. The door opens not to those who hope, but to those whose daily conduct proves readiness. You do not need a different environment. You need a different discipline inside this one. Now there is another danger you must confront. Comparison. Comparison quietly poisons discipline. You look over at another man's position, his resources, his connections, his advantages, and a thought appears. Of course he can give his best. If I had what he has, I would do the same. That thought weakens you more than any obstacle ever could. Because the law is not comparing you to him. It is not asking what you would do with his life. It is asking one simple question. What are you doing with yours? The moment you measure effort against another man's starting point, you give yourself permission to withhold. You say, why try so hard when I am behind anyway? That is not logic. That is surrender disguised as fairness. History is filled with people who began ahead and fell behind, and people who began behind and moved forward. The difference is not origin. It is daily behavior. Life does not reward resentment toward advantage. It rewards mastery of position. The only honest comparison is between what you gave today and what you were capable of giving. And when you avoid that comparison, growth stops. You must also understand something painful. You have never yet met your best. You have met comfort. You have met habit. You have met convenience. But your best exists beyond all three. It appears only when protection ends. Only when effort becomes honest. Only when resistance is faced directly. Until then, you live below capacity. Not because fate limited you, because you accepted average. And average slowly trains weakness. When you decide to raise effort, something inside will resist. Old identity speaks. This work is temporary. This place is small. These people don't appreciate you. That voice is not wisdom. It is the voice of a man who wants reward without preparation. Answer it clearly. If I cannot be trusted with small responsibility, I am unfit for larger responsibility. Then prove it. Treat your current task as training, because it is. Strength built here transfers. Weakness hidden here multiplies later. Another truth now emerges. Commitment is not belief. Commitment is behavior under imperfect conditions. Faith is effort without applause. Faith is discipline without immediate reward. A man who works well only when praised is dependent. A man who works well only when paid fully is bargaining. But a man who works well because it is right is building something unbreakable. Sometimes your effort will be exploited. Sometimes it will be ignored. Sometimes it will not be rewarded by those who receive it. But effort records itself. In your nervous system, in your habits, in your character. And that record follows you everywhere. Eventually, you will enter a place where reliability is valued. And when you do, your preparation will speak for you. Think of your present situation not as confinement, but as testing. Every task asks the same question. Will you handle this well simply because it is yours? Answer yes often enough, and excellence becomes automatic. Titles cannot replace habits. Positions reveal habits. If you rush now, you will rush later. If you cut corners here, you will cut them there. Opportunity does not create character. It exposes it. Stop saying, when I get there, I will change. You will not. You will behave there as you behave here. That is law. You must also face resentment again. Resentment says, why should I bother? Others benefit. Others advance. Others receive recognition. And bitterness begins. Bitterness slows thinking. It clouds judgment. It weakens execution. Then results worsen. Then bitterness deepens. This loop destroys more lives than failure ever has. Replace bitterness with resolve. Say, others may be ahead, but no one controls my discipline but me. Turn back to the work. Concentrate harder. Precision defeats resentment. Another shift must occur. You must stop demanding dramatic change. Life does not move by leaps. It moves by increments. 1% improvements. Small refinements. Slightly higher standards. These compound. Quietly. After months, capacity doubles. After years, identity transforms. Vanity wants miracles. Wisdom wants systems. You must now build systems. Systems protect progress. Habits stabilize discipline. Routines remove negotiation. When behavior is automated, growth becomes inevitable. Intensity fades. Systems remain. Intensity depends on emotion. Systems depend on structure. Emotion collapses. Structure survives. Design your environment. Reduce friction. Protect focus. Remove temptation. Make the right action easier than the wrong one. This is intelligence. This is how discipline becomes natura. Morning, midday, night. Each period trains identity. Morning establishes direction. Do you drift into reaction or choose intention? The first hour programs the day. Midday tests regulation. Stress arrives. Fatigue appears. Interruptions multiply. This is where character is revealed. Not in planning. In response. How you decide under pressure. How you speak when rushed. How you protect priorities when demands compete. Night consolidates identity. Reflection stores patterns. What you tolerate becomes normal. What you repeat becomes character. This rhythm shapes destiny, not mystically, but biologically. Consistency beats intensity because consistency rewires the nervous system. Intensity exhausts. Consistency trains. Systems scale. Spikes fade. Now understand something deeper. You are always training, even when unaware. Every delay trains hesitation. Every excuse trains avoidance. Every follow-through trains reliability. Every distraction trains weakness. Every disciplined act trains strength. Identity forms whether you choose it or not. So choose it. Deliberately. Quietly. Daily. The person you are becoming is not determined by ambition. It is determined by repetition. Repetition builds character. Character determines outcomes. And outcomes shape destiny, not by magic, but by cause and effect. You must stop living as if your real life begins later. Later rarely comes. Later is where discipline dies. This day is your field. This hour is your training. This decision is your direction. You do not need new conditions. You need new conduct. Stability comes before expansion. Control comes before freedom. Reliability comes before opportunity. You are not delayed. You are being prepared. If you accept that, frustration turns into focus. Impatience turns into discipline. And confusion turns into structure. Because now you understand the rule. Results follow internal order. Not luck. Not timing. Not fate. Order. And order is built by habits. By systems. By standards. By daily conduct. And once that order stabilizes, progress becomes predictable. Not exciting. Not dramatic. Predictable. And predictable progress is unstoppable. Now everything comes together. At this point, one truth should be clear. Your future is not decided by talent. Not by motivation. Not by luck. It is decided by how you operate when no one is watching. Results follow order. Calm improves judgment. Judgment improves decisions. Decisions improve consistency. Consistency builds trust. Trust creates opportunity. Not magically, logically. This is how progress actually works. Most people never realize this. They keep searching for better strategies, better advice, better inspiration, but the foundation is missing. Their inner system is unstable, so no strategy holds. They want more freedom but resist responsibility. They want more income but avoid discipline. They want more confidence but refuse consistency. And so life stays exactly where it is. Because expansion requires stability. You cannot scale chaos. You cannot grow disorder. You cannot build success on inconsistent behavior. Before opportunity increases, reliability must increase. Before income rises, decision quality must rise. Before freedom expands, self-control must stabilize. This is not punishment. This is protection. Life protects responsibility. It delays those who would collapse under pressure. It advances those who can carry weight. And weight is carried by discipline. Now understand something important. You do not need permission. You do not need validation. You do not need signs. You do not need approval. You need standards. You need clarity. You need consistency. Most people wait for confidence. But confidence is the result, not the requirement. Confidence comes from evidence. Evidence comes from behavior. Behavior comes from decisions. Decisions come from discipline. So discipline must come first. Waiting to feel ready is how lives stall. Readiness is not a feeling. It is a choice repeated daily. When you act before certainty, self-trust grows. When you retreat, doubt strengthens. Momentum belongs to movement. Now think carefully. Look at your life honestly. Not emotionally. Not defensively. Factually. Where do you avoid discomfort? Where do you delay decisions? Where do you lower standards? Where do you tolerate what you know is beneath you? Those are the exact places where your future is leaking. Progress rarely collapses suddenly. It leaks quietly, through small compromises, through postponed discipline, through tolerated weakness. And then one day people say, nothing ever changes. But change was being delayed daily. Now comes the responsibility shift. This is the moment where excuses end. Not dramatically, calmly. Responsibility says, this may not be my fault, but it is my responsibility. That sentence is heavy, but it is power. Because the moment you accept responsibility, control returns. You no longer wait for the world to change. You change how you operate inside it. And that changes everything. Now let me tell you something most people never understand. Success is not about doing more. It is about doing better. Better decisions. Better structure. Better emotional control. Better consistency. Better standards. Better boundaries. Better focus. Better recovery. Better follow-through. Better honesty with yourself. This is not glamorous. But this is how strong lives are built. Quietly. Predictably. Relentlessly. You are not here to chase outcomes. You are here to build a system that produces outcomes. And systems produce results automatically. Once your system stabilizes, success stops being stressful. It becomes normal. Now think about identity. Because identity is the final gate. You do not rise to goals. You fall to identity. If your identity is unstable, success will not stay. If your identity is disciplined, success becomes permanent. Identity is not what you say. It is what you practice. Daily. Under pressure. When tired. When discouraged. When unnoticed. Who you are in those moments decides everything. The strongest people are not the most intense. They are the most consistent. They are calm under pressure. Clear under stress. Reliable under fatigue. They do not rise and fall emotionally with circumstances. They operate from structure, from standards, from routine. That is why they look confident. Not because they are fearless, because they are regulated. Emotional regulation is the hidden advantage. It protects judgment. It stabilizes decisions. It prevents self-sabotage. It builds trust. Trust compounds faster than talent ever will. Now understand the final principle. Results do not arrive suddenly. They accumulate quietly, through daily conduct, through repeated discipline, through controlled behavior, through emotional stability, through consistent execution. And one day people call it luck. They say you are gifted. They say you are chosen. They say you are fortunate. But you will know the truth. You built this. Decision by decision. Standard by standard. Day by day. No miracles. No destiny. No shortcuts. Just structure. Just discipline. Just responsibility. Just consistency. And that is why it lasts. So here is your final charge. Stop waiting. Stop negotiating. Stop protecting comfort. Stop postponing discipline. This day is your training. This hour is your investment. This decision is your direction. You do not need a new life. You need a new operating system. You need higher standards, clearer structure, stronger discipline, calmer regulation, better decisions. And if you practice that long enough, results do not surprise you. They follow naturally, because progress is not magic. It is mechanics. Calm builds clarity. Clarity builds judgment. Judgment builds decisions. Decisions build consistency. Consistency builds trust. Trust builds opportunity. Opportunity builds freedom. And freedom is earned, not given. Now choose. Not emotionally, not dramatically, quietly. Will you continue drifting, or will you begin operating? Because the world does not change for wishers. It changes for those who become reliable. And when you become reliable, life begins to move, predictably, powerfully, in your direction.